Hello. What's going on?
I don't know. I feel like I haven't seen you, but I have.
Yeah, you have. Okay.
You read the card this time. I think I read it last time.
Did you?
Yeah.
Okay. Here we go. What advice would you give your younger self about love and relationships? You want to start? Or I can.
I'm just trying to think. I feel like when I do think back to my younger self, I'm like, you did exactly what you should have done. When I think of how a younger self should be,
Yeah.
I probably dated the wrong people, like did all that to find someone and the things I am looking for. So I would say like, great job.
Well, I think let's think about where. Yeah, you were great.
I killed it.
Crushed it. I think we should think about where were we? So let's think about let's go right after high school or right around high school to college age. So that 16 to about 20.
We both didn't go to college, so we'll start.
We both never went to college.
Yeah. Cool. So I feel like when I think about high school.
So where were you? What were you into?
In high school, I was into friends. I was into cheer, dance, friends, social life to the T. Loved it. Just really enjoyed people. I didn't have a college plan whatsoever, so I was just really focused on having those.
Dance was it? You weren't thinking about going to college for dance?
No, not at all. I was scouted when I was 15 for modeling, so I kind of didn't ever have a passion when I was younger. I loved dance. I loved cheerleading, all of that, but I didn't have a passion, so I was like, we'll just see what happens. And then I when I was 17, I was like, I guess this is it. All my friends were going to college, and I was like, I'm gonna go to LA and I'm just gonna go pursue this thing that has kind of opened doors for me because I didn't know what I wanted to do.
Totally.
Yeah.
And so then you moved up to LA.
So then I moved up to LA, which is just a whole different world compared to a small town, which was super cool. So
Temecula, big town, really big town.
Small town.
Yeah, so you went from Temecula, lower Southern California, up to LA.
Yeah.
Moved in, did the whole Los Angeles thing.
Did the whole Los Angeles thing.
Acting thing, modeling thing.
Yep, commercials, all the above. Had the best time. Really, really enjoyed it. But I feel like...
Wait, before you even dive into what your thoughts were about love, let me just give where I was, and then we can both talk about what we both thought it was, and then what we think of it is now.
Okay.
Cool. So I was... from 16 to 20, was playing hockey in Canada, was living with families up there away from my family who was in Scottsdale, Arizona, because I was playing what would be considered semi-pro hockey. And I was living with players on my team. I was going to local high schools in those small cities in Canada. And my life was 100% hockey in the sense that was what my career trajectory was. And I didn't have a major social life because of hockey. My side hobbies were my creative works of music and art and that kind of stuff. But again, didn't have a crazy social life when I was playing. Then when I got done playing, I moved to LA, and that's where we ended up meeting. But but I think what we should go into is what were we taught love was and relationships were from both where we learn our things from. So both family and friends, and also from movies and just
But do you think we should answer this question first?
Yeah, I think Do you?
I feel like we should answer this question and then go into a lot of what we were taught.
Yeah. So what advice would you give
Yeah.
your younger self about love and relationships?
Yeah.
I was going to try and bring it full circle for you guys, I promise. I was really trying.
I
but
get
I
where
agree.
you're going, but let's
Cool.
answer the question first. So you move up, so that version of you, which I love how you told the story so they can envision, you're 28 now. What would you tell that younger self about love and relationships?
Me being 28, sitting with my 18-year-old self, I would tell that version of me that love is the best thing ever. I would say it's amazing. I would say in the same way that you have like a teammate that like you're playing on a team with, it's just like having that all the time, which is awesome. And yeah, so I'd say that it's great.
Yeah. I feel like I would tell, first off, I loved that. That was really sweet. But I would tell my younger self to look for someone that isn't looking for perfection. Maybe that's interesting, but that was like what I had to deal with, because I think I needed to fall in love with myself first so that I wasn't looking for someone else to tell me to fill voids that I needed.
Totally.
So I feel like I would tell my younger self to not look for that perfect relationship and actually find someone who wants to grow with you, but also not be the center of your world, because I think I would have loved to focus on myself at such a young age and fall in love with me, and then the partner be such a bonus to my life instead of my whole world, which I look back and that's how it kind of was.
I think the idea of like falling for somebody or getting into a relationship to fill a void is something that is so common.
Yeah.
And in all sorts of relationships, work and friendships, and especially love. And I think, like you said it perfectly, getting to a place where you are so close to yourself that you don't feel like somebody is going to come in and fill that space for you.
Yeah.
It's super important. Not only from the point of view that like it helps you with yourself, but also if you do get into a relationship like that, where you are in a relationship with somebody to fill that void, they can never measure up to that. They can never fill that void for you. So you're setting yourself up for something that isn't even realistic.
So true.
And so like, I think if I was talking to myself at 18, and I was different, like my priorities were hockey. So my priorities weren't, it was never like falling in love. It was more like my love was the sport. But I think like the relationship, like any relationship with a sport or with a person or that whatever, I think really making sure that you're spending time with yourself and like working on yourself is so pivotal, because it amplifies everything around you, the way that you look at yourself, whether that's good or bad. And so you need to get to a point where you are feeling good there, so that everything that comes after that is an add-on, is additional.
Yep, I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
I feel like that's where it goes into what you were going to bring up about the fairy tale and kind of like what maybe at a younger age we thought it was supposed to be like, if that was the route you were kind of chatting about. Like,
yeah, I think like movies do a really good job of like portraying this relationship that's like everything is sunshine and rainbows and they're gonna save you, and like your life was miserable before and now it's perfect because you have this person that's rescued you and is gonna fix everything. Yeah. And I think the notion of that is like not possible. It's amazing, like the relationships are great. I'm not saying that it's terrible. Saying that you can't.
It's so bad now.
Yeah. But just the idea of like in movies where there's like the person that gets rescued and they have the fairy tale storybook ending, it's just a very unfair thing for people to think that they need to live up to. Yeah. Because every relationship, for sure the strongest ones, the best ones, go through ups and downs, and like and it doesn't mean that like there's like terrible moments in the relationship. Like I don't remember a terrible moment in ours at all. But that's not to say that like we've literally just been like soaring the whole time. Like we've both gone through our own and gone through our individual stuff and like had to work through that together. But through that, like working through it is where you find like you really make steps, and it really is amazing.
Yeah, no, I agree. I feel like if you are not growing as a person in your relationship, I think that's something I would want to look at, you know, or tell myself, like, are you growing as a person? Do you feel like you're a better version of yourself every day with this human? And I think that goes into play of like not everything being perfect. Like I actually want that nitty gritty or like that grind of, or not grind, grainy, that's the word. I was searching for that word.
I like nitty gritty.
Nitty gritty, grainy, whatever version of really understanding what happens when you guys do fight. Like, can you guys, how do you guys communicate when you fight rather than never having a fight and not understanding if you're a yeller or if you're whatever, you know? I feel like that's actually really important to have in a relationship and also to see how you react and
I think like, it's so funny the comparisons between like me with sport and then like with relationship and like on every team that I was on, the best coaches that I had would say at the beginning of the year, like, we're not going to be perfect. We're going to go through shit and we're going to go through shit together. And then on the other side of that, we're going to be stronger and be a better team.
Yeah.
And I think that it's the exact same thing in like relationship. Like you go through different things and then like the way you can communicate and navigate that is the way that like you come out on the other side stronger and better as a couple.
Very true. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that so much. I'm just thinking of all the things that you've taught me in my head, or like from being in this relationship.
You're gonna probably think for a long time.
There's so much coming up. But yeah, I feel like I think I heard Lewis Howes say it as well, and it's nothing mean or bad, but it's almost like if your partner left you tomorrow, I would be completely devastated and I would miss you more than anything in the world. But it's that moment of, I think me and you have communicated that we are okay on our own and we feel good with ourselves, and it's almost like that partner is like just makes it that much more amazing, but isn't.
And again, that's like a thing that is like, it would be devastating. It would be like super hard, but it's the knowing that like your foundation isn't dependent on another person.
That's good.
And even that is like something that people can take of being like, well, I can't depend on her for anything because I need to be completely independent. It's not that. It's like, it's knowing like everything is better with you, but I'm still solid in my own foundation of me working with myself. That like, if I didn't have you or prior to having you, I felt good with who I am and what I'm doing and how I can take care of myself and parent my own self and like deal with that.
Which goes into all that stuff that you're parenting yourself, you're going through so much growth. I think that also is so important that I would want to tell my younger self is finding a partner that you can trust in all ways, that you can trust, that you feel so comfortable with, that you can show your raw and real self. And they are so like, they love that version more.
I think that goes into the same thing of like the storybook ending of like everything needing to be perfect. I think when people go into relationships where they are like, it needs to be perfect, they end up feeling like they need to be perfect. And then they're like, I can't show this side of myself with my partner because this is supposed to look this way and that way is perfect. And if I'm showing him this side of me, it's not going to be amazing anymore.
I think I struggled with that for a while, not with you, but like in my past relationships. And so then walking in with you, I feel like I literally remember a moment where you asked to see like raw images of me from a photo shoot. And I was like, you cannot see the raws. Like like, that's a weird, whatever demonstration, but I'm just saying it was like, I didn't want to show you my full self, because if I did, I know that I would I would show you my full face, my full me. And that's scary sometimes, but if you can have that with a partner, like, I think it's just 100 steps forward.
I could not agree more. I think that it takes a lot of trust, a lot of openness, a lot of vulnerability, a lot of communication. And I think that those are like the things that we have tried to build our relationship on,
Yeah.
and therefore like can go through that, you having to like be okay with being more raw, showing that side of yourself, and me doing the same. And I think that that's something that makes a relationship really valuable.
Yeah.
Anything we want to end it on?
I don't know. I feel like we've kind of.
Is there any way we can like sum up the whole question?
Maybe like one.
Like a one-liner to our
You got
viewers?
something. I have nothing. So.
What advice would you give to your younger self about love and relationships? Yeah, I honestly would literally top of my head would be like, relationships are everything, and they're fucking amazing, and that would be it.
I love it. I agree. I feel like I think what you're trying to say is putting the work in to actually have really amazing relationships are very worth it, because relationships are everything.
100.
Yeah. I agree.
Good work.